Hello everybody. In this video we'll try to understand the Pisces energy. What is Pisces energy basically? Because the upcoming Rahu and Saturn, the conjunction is going to occur in the sign of Pisces. See, already from 27th Feb onwards, if you observe, the conjunction is already occurred. How you know? See, that day Saturn started, Saturn and Rahu started transiting in Purva Bhadrapada together. Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, that area is same, right? So in that area, this conjunction already occurred from 27th Feb until 2nd December 2025. This Rahu and Saturn would be in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra only. So throughout the year, almost, right? The 2025 Rahu and Saturn are in Purva Bhadrapada only. But initially, Rahu is in the final part and Saturn is in the initial part. Whereas as the time goes on down the year 2025, you would find Rahu in the initial part of Purva Bhadrapada, whereas Saturn would be in the latter part of Purva Bhadrapada. Now, I want to talk about the Pisces energy. See, Pisces is the 12th and final sign of the zodiac. It's symbolized by two fishes. Actually, they are swimming in opposite directions. Why opposite directions? That we will see. Basically, Pisces is a watery sign, and traditionally, as per Vedic astrology, it is ruled by Jupiter, but later they assigned a co-ruler, that is Neptune. And now, when you talk about Pisces, what is it basically? It is basically a watery sign. It's the peaks of watery energy. In India it is called as Meena Rashi because of that fish symbolism, right? The two fishes moving in the opposite directions. Now, Pisces energy is related to endings. It's related to liberation. That's called as moksha. And of course, death. And this death symbolism is mainly because of this, as it is a final sign, and also the Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada, if you observe, Purva Bhadrapada represents the front legs of funeral cot, whereas the Uttara Bhadrapada represents the back legs of, funeral cot. And Revati is related to the rituals that are performed after ending, after death, right? So now, Pisces, according to Hinduism, or you can say according to Vedic mythology, the death is not just the physical death, because the Vedic philosophy believes in after birth, after death also. See, after death again the soul would reborn, right? So just saying physical death alone representing Pisces sign is not a good thing. Pisces actually not only representing the physical death, it is also representing the spiritual rebirth, you can say. It's a transcendence, a dissolution, and then the spiritual rebirth. And the spiritual rebirth that comes after worldly existence, just the worldly existence ending is not Pisces. It's also after this worldly existence, after the ending of worldly existence, what would happen? That is also related to Pisces according to Vedic philosophy. So I want to tell, this particular sign is a watery element, and it is very much linked both with dissolution and also creation, because after dissolution again another form of creation happens, right? After worldly existence, it is something like another form of creation is going to happen. See, in Vedic philosophy, rivers symbolize life's journey. And the ocean is Pisces. What is Pisces basically? Pisces, in a physical term, in exactly physical term, right? If you want to represent, Pisces is a ocean. That's it, right? The Pisces is the ocean, and this ocean is what rivers do actually. Rivers flow, and of course, see why this ocean representation is there. See, the final merging with the infinite. The soul takes a birth, and then death, and then again rebirth takes place, and then again death. So after that, there's a final merging with the infinite, right? So this water is very much connected to this death rituals. Also, in Vedic philosophy, there's a concept called tarpanam, right? The pitru tarpanam, that's done with water only. So rituals for the deceased also often involve immersion in water as well, right? And what else is this Pisces? Pisces is liberation, the soul's final journey beyond material life. And then Pisces is loss and surrender. So letting go of ego or your attachment, your worldly desires, it's all done in the sign of Pisces because it is a final sign. And of course, death of the material self, the physical self. So once the physical existence is ended, it's something like it's a spiritual rebirth, it's a spiritual awakening, it's the creation in some other dimension, you can say. And Pisces is also, it also represents isolation and seclusion. The energy of Pisces, if you want to feel, you just go to any spiritual center, you go to hospitals, you go to prisons, you go to ashramas, right? So the kind of energy you feel, right, that is Pisces energy. It may not be very, engaging, or it is not a kind of very happening, that kind. It's not that kind of energy. It's a very peaceful. It's a very peaceful, calm, and a bit of sorrow is also included in this energy. It's not a comfortable energy in one dimension if you observe, but it's something like it is heavily related to karmic things, right? Because death is not a simple karmic thing, right? A very big karmic thing in entire life of a person is death. And then the spirituality, the liberation, and all these are all not the normal things that we see in the earthly plane, on the earthly plane. And now even the two fish swimming in the opposite directions, it represents the soul's journey between life and afterlife, right? The soul's journey between this life and once the life is ended, afterlife, what is it? Again, the soul is still there, still it is present, it has some life after the physical death as well. So, and also it is acting as a this particular two fish swimming in opposite directions or moving in opposite different directions is the struggle between the material existence and spiritual liberation. The same, right? So the final chapter of a person is this only. Material existence is going to be ended, and then the spiritual liberation would start, or the soul's journey in some other dimension would start. And Jupiter is very much associated with the sign Pisces because of its divine wisdom that guides the soul after death. See, the soul has to be directed after death. That's a great wisdom, right? And of course, that wisdom only Lord Yama has, and that is a different thing. But this divine wisdom, if you see the energy of wisdom, that is nothing but Jupiter. That's why Jupiter is associated with the sign. The teacher who helps in the transition from worldly life into enlightenment. Right? You have, let us say, the wisdom, having faith in reincarnation, or having a very strong faith in kind of karmic cycle, right? So this is all Pisces only. So this wisdom is present, this wisdom energy, right? The rebirth cycle, the reincarnation, the karmic cycle, this kind of energies are always present in the in the sign of Pisces only. That's where, because it is the final sign, and there is only one final sign. So this kind of energy is only present in the sign of Pisces. And as it is related to this kind of the transcendental wisdom, or a kind of it's a different wisdom, right? So that's where Jupiter is very much connected to this particular sign, Pisces. And there's a connection to the afterlife here, right? And even the nakshatras associated with it, the Purva Bhadrapada 4, and then Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra, of course it is ruled by Saturn. And as Saturn, why Saturn is associated here? See, the deep karmic transformation takes place in Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra, the heart of Pisces. That's where this deep karmic transformation, when you say some karmic transformation, Saturn takes a major role. Saturn plays a major role here. Right? So the deep karmic transformation, the death rituals, that is all Uttara Bhadrapada. And then Uttara Bhadrapada is ruled by Saturn. That's why this rules, right? When you talk about Saturn, you talk about rules and discipline also. You just observe a worker is a very dedicated worker. If you observe, he works based on some rules with some discipline. That is Saturn, right? So that deep karmic transformation and death rituals, the rules, those are all related to Uttara Bhadrapada, and the head of Uttara Bhadrapada is Saturn. And then Revati, if you observe, ruled by Mercury. It's the last nakshatra in the entire nakshatra system, the 27 nakshatra system. It is basically symbolizing the soul's final departure. Soul's final departure and journey towards liberation. Right? So Revati is the final nakshatra. That's where the soul's final departure and journey towards liberation takes place. See, when you talk about death, in Vedic philosophy, death is not just the physical death. In a soul's journey, let us say the soul is actually it's the soul's final birth. Then of course it's a physical death, and finally it will unite with the supreme, with the infinite. Right? But what about the soul would reincarnate? The soul's karma is still pending, and it is going to reincarnate. So that is going to be a physical death. Just a physical death, and there is another birth waiting. What about this particular Pisces energy is only activated for in somebody's life at the age of some 25, or is it only the death of the physical death? No, it's actually, it can be related to ego death. It can be related to emotional death. And what if the person is still very he is very healthy, and the person is at the age of 70? It may not be a physical death, because a person is very healthy, he is doing well. So it can be a kind of his spiritual awakening. It can be related to end of some karmic cycle for him. It is leading to some moksha, or some kind of spiritual awakening. So it's just not the physical death, but of course it represents ending, because it is the final sign, right? As it is the final sign, it has to represent the ending. When you're in a running race, you completed your running race, and you're at the final point. What it means? That's ended. So it is at the ending. Pisces is at the ending, so it is related to ending, it is related to death, right? So it represents basically a final phase of something. And even if your ego is dead, if Pisces energy is activated for you in and not in just the physical dimension, it is activated in your mental dimension, then it can be death of your ego, right? So death of your ego is nothing but, so it is basically, death of ego is what? It is teaching you the importance of surrendering your pride, right? Surrendering your pride and leaving the materialistic behavior and materialistic desires. So your ego is dead. So that is also awakening of Pisces only, right? And your emotional death is something like, is deep emotional pain, is a detachment from the material world. That deep emotional pain is emotionally you're dead, right? So this is also related to Pisces energy. It's just not only the physical death, and especially in Vedic philosophy, death is not the end. It is a transition into the next phase of existence or next phase of something else. That something else can be based on your karmic balance. And if all your karmic balances are done, then that represents the karmic completion, right? So your positive fruits of karma and negative fruits of karma have completely become zero. They have completely become zero, right? So that is the karmic completion. So it is related to the karmic cycle as afterlife, liberation, death rituals, right? So that's where this offering of water and tarpanam to ancestors, aligns with this, this particular watery energy of Pisces. And see, this Pisces is always, it's also about dreaming. It's also about thinking about some other worlds, right? That is also Pisces. A soul that is ready for liberation is Pisces. A soul which is very much ready for liberation, that is Pisces. And the sacred places like Kashi in India represents Pisces. A peaceful spiritual departure is also Pisces energy, right? So generally, Saturn, when you observe, Saturn is very much related to the old age, karmic completions, karmic cycles, detachments. This is all Saturn area. So that's where the Saturn is no surprise that Saturn is ruling Uttara Bhadrapada there. And the wisdom associated when the liberation occurs, when a soul liberates, and what happens, how it is directed, that's all wisdom, where Jupiter related with it. Even Ketu is also related to Pisces because of a spiritual enlightenment. Ketu is related to spiritual enlightenment, right? So that's where you can see the impact of Ketu here. See, so Pisces is not always about complete death, right? It's death of so many other things, but it is the ending. It represents physical death also, right? It can be transition to a higher state of being also, right? So it is deeply connected to the liberation, a divine surrender, you can say, a merging of the soul with the infinite. And it is a deep spiritual pattern is associated with the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is a peaks of watery sign. Pisces is a peaks of watery sign. And one more important thing is, it's about artistic abilities as well. The Pisces sign is also about artistic abilities. It's about intuition power, deep spirituality, intuition, creativity, emotional sensitivity. Because creative arts, all creative arts are also related to Pisces because it is a very sensitive area, right? So it's a Jalatattva sign, that is watery sign. It represents deep emotions, adaptability, and intuition. It's in addition to that, it represents that artistic abilities. And it's a very, you can understand now the behavior of the Pisces. It's very sattvic, it's pure spiritual and peaceful, you can say. Right? And Pisces is a watery sign. It is a stable and flexible. It's called dual sign, basically. And whenever you talk about Pisces, you talk about the feet, the body parts that are representing, right? The feet. Even when you surrender, even when you surrender to God, you look at the feet of the God, right? So it represents the divine surrender and detachment from materialism as well. So basically, you can understand it's related to, selfless energy. Generally, I observed so many Revati people, especially, they're very much divinely connected and they're very much involved in charity as well, right? And there are some negative energies associated with this sign of Pisces. That is, they're very much emotional and sensitive. They are into this daydreaming and escapism. They're more into this kind of escapism because this 12th sign is a kind of peaceful energy. So it is not representing a lot of activity, right? That's where escapism is also represented by the sign Pisces. And as it is very much peaceful, right, as sensitive, and it can trust, the energy can trust others very easily. It's very impractical, basically, right? So a kind of laziness is also is associated with this. So basically, it's a very kind of how you feel when you look at a very big ocean, endless ocean. How you feel? Go to the beach, just see the limitless ocean, just experience the calmness. That is very much associated with Pisces. So the kind of emotional state you feel when you look at that infinite ocean, that energy is Pisces energy. And when you are in that state, you are very much emotional, sensitive. You're a kind of dreaming in a kind of dreaming state. And when you are given a very, very active task that time, you may not feel like doing it because you are in that state, right? And in that state, you're just calm, and you even believe others very easily in that state. You're very impractical in that state. You're indecisive in that state. You're a bit lazy. You avoid any activity in that state. That state is the Pisces state, the final state, right? So you can believe, right? That is the state of soul as well. And the nakshatras associated with this one, the Purva Bhadrapada 4, Uttara Bhadrapada, and Revati. You see, Purva Bhadrapada is, of course, it's a kind of it's a very destructive energy, but at the same time transformative. It's very idealistic. The cause would be very idealistic. The root of this destruction, the cause of the destruction can be very idealistic, and it's mystical as well. And Uttara Bhadrapada, of course, to some extent, it's not to some extent, it is also another, it has some destruction associated with it, but Uttara Bhadrapada is much more wiser than Purva Bhadrapada. The cause of Uttara Bhadrapada's destruction is much more well defined. The cause is very, very wise. It's in alignment with the universal functioning. It's in alignment with the universal cause. And Uttara Bhadrapada's energy is also very disciplined, it's very spiritual. It's spiritually very, very strong, Uttara Bhadrapada energy. And if you observe the Revati energy there, you see very gentle. It's very gentle, Revati. That's why Mercury is associated with Revati. It's very, very peaks of gentleness is Revati. Very soft, very gentle. It's deeply connected to divine energy. And they are very charitable. I have seen so many people with Revati energy doing lot of charity and doing lot of yagyas, lot of rituals, right? The religious stuff they do a lot, and then they finally do a lot of charity. Revati people, I saw so many. So this is the Pisces energy, right? It's very much related to that ocean. And anywhere you find a kind of healing, a kind of, I told you, right, how you feel when you observe a limitless and endless ocean, how you feel. With that state of mind, what are the things that you can associate in the world? It can be a healing thing, or it can be any mystical or research or spiritual. You associate anything with that, the similar energy things, that all fall under this place, in this Pisces place, right? Even see the romance or the emotional state, these are all, very soft and gentle, right? So generally, in that state, people are very supportive. If any person has that kind of energy, right? So they can be very supportive and understanding as well, right? But the kind of laziness or the kind of impracticality associated with it is also, you need to observe, that's a kind of negative thing associated with Pisces. And people generally we see, we talked about death and so many things, but on the earthly plane, if you ask about the Pisces energy, people talk about spiritual knowledge, yoga, meditation, astrology, healing, very, very, if you observe a very old person with a very big beard, and then with a lot of wisdom, with a lot of deep wisdom, then you can say that person is very much associated with the sign of Pisces, right? So basically, I want to tell you, Pisces is the most mystical and spiritual energy in the whole zodiac, and it symbolizes the liberation, the intuition, and the deep universal functionality, the deep universal love as well, a healing, the artistic abilities, the kind of soft-hearted, emotional, deeply compassionate energy is Pisces energy. The only thing is, imagination and reality, the balance is missing in Pisces, because it is too much into connecting to different worlds, right? It is the only sign that is actually connecting this particular energy of liberation. So clearly you can understand the energy of Pisces here. So, and it is also selfless, right? Selfless energy, it's giving. There's a lot of giving nature is also present, especially at the end of Pisces energy. Even it's very compassionate, you can say. It's very compassionate, it's very intuitive, it's of course imaginative, at the same time idealistic, but the imagination is a bit, compared to other signs, it has more into that area, right? So that is the energy of Pisces. And when Saturn and Rahu come into this particular sign, what would happen? In all these areas, right, there's a kind of eruption would occur. Eruption. Because Saturn and Rahu both are very heavy karmic planets. They move very slowly, right? Saturn comes to a sign once in 30 years, and Rahu um, comes in a sign once in 18 years, right? So this is all related to the slow moving malefic planets. In ancient Vedic astrology, if you see Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu, these are all natural malefics. And especially Saturn and Rahu, they are karmic planets. They're attached to heavy karmic debts, right? So even in the normal astrology, the personal natal astrology, whenever a person in a horoscope, you observe a horoscope, whenever a person has the Shani Rahu Yuti, that is Saturn Rahu conjunction, that is called as a Strapit dosha, as a cursed combination. It's cursed, right? So you can take the Saturn and Rahu combination, the conjunction occurring in Pisces is a kind of, it's a curse. And that too, I am going to tell you, is not just the Saturn and Rahu that are coming into Pisces. There is going to be a solar eclipse on 29th, right? And just after that, Chaitra Shukla Padimi, that is the new beginning, the new day of new year, that is Vishwavasunama Samvatsara. Then after that also, you see the Mars dignity, especially. Mars is a war planet. And see, it is called as a cursed combination. The cursed combination, what it does actually, in a natal horoscopy, that is an individual horoscope, in a natal chart, means a person's native chart, if you observe Saturn and Rahu conjunction in some area, in some particular, in a house, then the person is going to experience hardships in that area, deep transformations. Saturn and Rahu conjunction is nothing but deep transformation, and it's a karmic challenge. It's a karmic challenge for the world. And what all these people did for the past 30 years, what kind of, how they affected the beautiful nature, out of their own ego, out of their own, this is humans, they feel that they are unique, they are very great, but they are 24 by 7, they are just living because of these planets, because of because of this nature they are living. And at least 1 second, if they think why they are able to live happily, they can understand, because of the trees they are living, because of the nature, because of the air, because of this sun, because of the moon, because of all these things, because of the nature only they are living. They are not at all great, if you observe in this particular point of reference. They're doing something, but what they are doing, they have enough conscious to understand that what they are doing is harmful to the nature or not. They are not even having enough conscious. They do not have enough intelligence that the things that they are doing is harming their own mother nature. The mother nature they are harming. They're not even understanding this behavior, and they are making their own lives miserable by inventing so many unnecessary and useless things. They're making their own lives bad. And out of this technology, and they're boasting about what they are doing, finally, just they should have a minimum, common sense, right? So they're losing it. And what these people did for the past 30 years, or this Rahu and Saturn is conjoining in Pisces. I will check when when the past time when it happened last time. But from that time to this time, what they did, for all the negative things, they are going to pay now. It's a heavy karmic challenge. It's a deep transformation, right? And it is, see, both are slow moving malefic planets. Both are slow moving malefic planets. So this combination, basically, it can intensify the struggles and fears. Even, of course, they become more and more ambitious because their psychological, that balance would be impacted. And it is also related to karmic depth, right? So we need to, we can clearly see the karmic struggles that people are going to encounter after this conjunction, the moment the conjunction is going to be started, right? The kind of ethical dilemmas that we discussed in our previous videos, if you observe, right? The negative karma, the result of the negative karma, right? That you're going to observe in the upcoming days for sure. So thanks for watching this video. I will try to do some more analysis on this conjunction, because this conjunction is the most interesting one. And after this, in this 2025 year itself, you see other planets like, I think Neptune already came into Aquarius last year, you're right. I think the other planets, Uranus and Pluto, they are also going to change signs in the sign in the year of 2025 only. So in 2025 only, everything is happening, all these transitions. And what about Jupiter? Jupiter is becoming Atichara. Jupiter transit a sign once in a year, 1 year, one sign. That is Jupiter's behavior. But see this year, this time, is transiting almost 3-4 signs, I am thinking, right? In 2025 itself, the behavior is a bit, he's doing atichara, he's going faster. Maybe he's also given the task of, completing the karmic debts of several people. We will analyze that one, but look at the behavior of different planets. And what about Mars? Mars is transiting that Gemini and Cancer only for so many months. How many months it would be like this, right? Of course, there's a duration for this, but it is a long duration. The whole planetary, events are very, very interesting. And of course, there are so many positive things associated with it. As I discussed in the previous video, it was something like it is going to be a big, beautiful world is going to be created for some section of the people based on their karmic balance, what they did for the past 30 years compared to other people, right? So because it's something like the nature wants to create a beautiful world, and only beautiful world is possible only if beautiful people are placed in that world. If somebody is having a lot of ego, lot of aggression, there is in Vedic philosophy they say kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, right? The Arshad Vargas. If somebody is having lot of aggression, can that person make a beautiful world? For unnecessary things, he would show his aggression, his ego. This kind of people, what is the use of those people to the world? They cannot make a beautiful world, and they cannot make their life beautiful. They cannot make others' lives also beautiful. They are just useless. Unnecessary egos, unnecessary aggressions, unnecessary thoughts. Some people are misers, too much misery. They do not spend their money. Just they keep their money. They want to build a lot of buildings. They want to construct a lot of things. What they are going to do? They are given a specific amount of life. That's it. The ocean will take care of them. No use. Charity, they have to do some charity. What is the use of becoming the world's richest person, having zero humanity, inventing all unnecessary technologies and causing the people suffering? All nonsense, right? See, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Some people are jealous about others. What is the use of it? Make your life better first. Concentrate on your life. Why are you worried about others' lives? Make yourself comfortable, do what you can do in your comfort zone and in your limits without disturbing others, without harming others. Do it, and don't take it to your ego or aggression if you achieve something. Have some common sense, and people are missing it. And what they did for the past 30 years, see, the so called great people, the richest people, the great leaders of the world, what they are doing, they are behaving out of ego and aggression. Useless, not having minimum common sense. What a country would do if it is becoming world's richest, if the if their own people are suffering, or if they are causing suffering to somebody. They have to be cleared up, right? That is going to be activated this year for sure. A systematic clear up, a clear up with lot of discipline, because Saturn is coming into Pisces. The ending is going to be very, very systematic with a lot of eruptions. A very systematic clear up, cleaning up with a very, very big eruptive things, cleansing, purification, right? End of karmic cycles. That is the energy you can clearly feel in this particular planetary sequences this year. Thanks for watching this video. We'll analyze much more in our upcoming videos.